What keeps you awake at night?
Sea levels are rising globally.
Fears fueled by horror stories.
Among the worst flu season in a decade, and it hasn't peaked yet.
We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous.
Another series of deadly terror attacks.
Because you know that thing your brain does in the middle of the night? This crazy thing where it takes a small problem and it just makes it enormous?
Well, Olivia, you know it is our educational horror story, so class is in session.
Oh my god.
Students, please
No.
take your seats. It's time to begin our educational series.
I can't.
It just...
Anybody, if this is their first episode they're listening to, they're like, what the fuck?
What is happening?
They have good iTunes reviews, but I'm not sure why.
This is why we only have 24.
Well, gotta take them where you can get them. Am I right, ladies?
True. That's absolutely the case. Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Olivia.
I'm Brooke.
And I'm breaking out.
We both are. You're just so synced.
Yeah, we had a conversation before we began about how she's getting, like, face cysts, and I'm getting these, like, whiteheads all over my face on the day of prom.
Because of course.
Yeah, I had a cystic pimple on my neck 3 months ago, and it hasn't gone away yet.
It's still there?
Yeah, it's smaller, but it's still there for sure.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it's not red, it's like a bump, so it could have been a goiter, and, like, anything could be happening in my health, honestly.
Tell me, Olivia, what is the difference between, like, a cyst, a boil, and a goiter? Like, I don't...
Bro, do I look like a doctor? I look like somebody that frequents, like, the... What's the thing that always tells you have cancer? WebMD. I frequent WebMD a lot, but I don't know the difference between those.
All right, well, somebody tweet at us and tell us what the difference between those are, because I will forget by the time we're done here.
We would love to learn. Speaking of learning...
Hello! We're doing educational things.
Yes, we've already done a mini-sode on educational horror stories, but it did really well, and... If you recall,
back in our infancy, so.
Oh, back when I was using an iPhone mic, TBT.
God, don't.
We listened to an old episode we had, like the third episode, and I screamed. I was like, "Why?" I was so echoey.
Worse
I was so echoey, and that was the one we talked about it. Bree had sounded like she recorded in a tile store. Mine, I didn't even realize I had echo. I don't know if I just didn't hear my own echo when I was editing it. Anyway, it was a very echo-filled episode, and I was listening to it in Hassan's car, full stereo volume, and it was like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah,
Why?
It's rough, and especially when, like, back then I didn't have very good, what am I trying to say, headphones, and, I don't know, I think that maybe just the quality of my equipment is so much better now that I can hear.
Yeah.
Oh, the garbage that we were. Thanks to everybody who stuck around, my God. Jesus.
Yeah, now, like, I'll edit and I'll, like, cry if there's a tiny bit of, like my neighbors sound like they're drilling a hole from the room above me to where I'm recording, and you can hear it faintly if you, like, flip up the volume to 11. And then back in the day, I was like, well, I can hear a radiator, but that's fine. What was I doing?
Yeah. I had a couple where I was editing and I realized that a plane was flying over my apartment. And all I wanted to do was throw my laptop out a window. I was so sad.
Yeah.
Look how far we've come.
Yeah, I'm in a different closet. I would love to get to a point where I consistently record in the same place.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But I'm not there yet. We'll get there.
See, I've downgraded. I was recording in a room when I first started, because who cares about echo? And now I am in a closet in a table that has been shoved into the back. So at least I'm sitting on a chair, though. You're kind of crumpled into a fetal position, as I'm aware.
Yes, it is horrible on my knees, and as I age, any movement that is irregular has a significant impact on my joints. Welcome to fun. Age, kids.
Don't grow up. Just don't do it.
Don't do it. And we'll talk about why in our episode today.
Oh God, yeah. So like Olivia said, we've done educational horror stories before, and we really enjoyed it. And we're almost done now, or I'm almost done. You've got another
year.
2 years?
Well,
Yeah,
I've got
1 year.
one more undergraduate year, and then I've decided that I want to get my PhD for some reason.
Oh God.
So that's going to take me 6 years.
Oh God, Olivia.
Why do I do what I do?
Why? No, you should do that. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from a place
You
of
think I'm
anger.
fucking not? We're all tired, bitch. I love, like, every break that we have between quarters, I get filled with this motivation to, like, learn and contribute, and I get excited about my research, and then 5 weeks in, I'm like, if a meteor hit me and I died on impact, I think that's
Oh my God.
the best scenario right now. I pulled 2 all-nighters back to back this week because of a heinous assignment I was given. Me and Hassan essentially were
my
awake
God.
for 48 straight hours and had 2 naps. That was essentially what that was. And I'm
How long were the naps though?
maybe 4 hours. Listen.
I'm listening.
That's not the life I want to live. It was a bullshit. We were both writing lab reports, and his required a shitload of data processing. Processing?
Oh,
Process.
God.
Am
Processing.
I having a stroke?
You're
Processing.
not, it's fine.
And then mine required a shitload of explanation and writing and citations.
Awesome. Just awesome.
So that was my rough draft. So I have to edit that this week, and I'm a little less than stoked.
I
But
think it's at the point where you haven't had sleep for 3 days that you start hallucinating. Is that right?
yeah, that's how it felt. That's how it felt. It was very reminiscent of when me and Hassan stayed up until 3 a.m. one night last quarter, and
Oh,
the
yeah,
next
yeah.
day he texted me and said, "I don't mean to be dramatic, but I can feel my heartbeat in my eyes."
Oh, God.
And there's like, I'm surrounded by 17-year-olds that are like, I stayed up until 3 a.m. finishing the homework. And I'm like, if I stay up past 9:30, I feel like I'm going to die. Same?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to me, but I remember there was a day my freshman year of college that, like, I stayed up until 4 or 5 in the morning finishing a paper, and then I went to my 8:30 a.m. class, and I commuted. So I'm just kind of thinking about that and wondering what the hell happened to me that made me incapable of waking up at 7:30 in the morning when I have already had 8 hours of sleep.
I think have I told you about German breakfasts?
No.
Now, I live in a situation with roommates that like to speak in the morning, which is a problem for me. Apparently, a German-style breakfast is everybody wakes up on their own time, they pour a single cup of coffee, they sit and are alone with themselves and their thoughts for 15 minutes as they come to terms with the fact that they're still alive. And then after everybody has had their coffee moment, then they get together and have breakfast together.
Well, that sounds delightful.
Doesn't it? And see, like, as an adult, you're like, that's the best thing I've ever fucking heard. Like, I get 15 minutes to myself. Do you know how rare that is in adulthood? I don't even have kids yet. I'm sure anybody who has kids right now is like,
Just, like, seething.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Man, the older you get, the more you are really attracted towards the idea of being alone.
Yeah, the bar just gets lower and lower, I think.
Like, sometimes the only time I'm alone is I just go to the bathroom and I sit in the bathroom for like 10 minutes and just like look at memes. I'm like, nobody can interrupt me here. This is Olivia time.
It's socially inadequate for people to interrupt me. I am alone, finally. Grace.
Anyway, to transition sharply.
Sure.
What is the first question we have today? The first question we have today is...
What is one word you can use to describe your experience in the public school system?
Okay, burnout.
Huh?
Burnout. That is mine.
Burnout. Oh
Yeah.
no, that's not a positive at all.
I didn't say positive, I said a word.
I know, it's just so sad.
Yeah. I think best summarized by my feelings of going to the bathroom just to be alone.
For me, confusing. I'm more confused now than I was when I entered college, which is common, I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, like, is that part of the, I forget what the specific name of the effect is, but the more educated you are, the more you wish, the more you realize you're a moron. Same.
Yeah, that's, that pretty much sums it up, I think. I do feel like more of a moron. I know more facts, but I'm realizing more and more as I get closer to the dreaded graduation day that I don't really know how to be a person. Never mind an adult person.
Do you want to talk about your tooth story?
My tooths? Oh, Jesus, this is not educational at all, but you're talking about the wisdom tooth?
Yeah, good representation of adult choices.
Yeah, I guess this is for the kids out there, because this is just... I'm gonna sound so tired because I am. This is a perfect representation of the things that happened that just shouldn't, but there's nothing you can do about it, so you just gotta fucking get through it.
Is that just like the adulthood tagline? Like that's it?
Yeah.
It's kind of long, but...
Yeah, they didn't really spend a whole lot of time workshopping that. It's gonna take some time to really nail down. So I got my wisdom teeth out about 3 years ago. This was at the beginning of my college experience. I only had 2, so it was the bottom right and my upper left. And the bottom right was a normal sized tooth, whereas the upper left was this teeny tiny... It was like the size of maybe your canine tooth is right now. So, yeah, which is weird, but when they took the x-ray, the dentist was like, oh, this is going to be easy. The bottom right one is going to be the one that gives us trouble. But the top left, oh, it's just floating in there. It'll be fine. Olivia, do you think it was fine?
Knowing your luck, I think it was not fine.
I don't even have the worst luck of all the people I know. But this did not go my way. So they decided that they were going to do a local anesthetic instead of a general anesthetic, which means I was awake. I was terrified. Turns out it was fine. Once I was numbed, I didn't feel anything. So for everybody who hasn't had their wisdom teeth out, it's fine. It's whatever. So they take out the bottom right one first because he just wanted to get it over with because it was going to be the tough one, right? It was out in 5 seconds. He just yanked once and it just slipped right out. And he was like, wow, this is going to be great. So he goes in for the top left. And they make the incision, and he dug around in my gums while I was awake for an hour.
No! What?
1 solid hour.
No!
So what happened was it was small and it didn't have any roots. So he would get a hold on it with whatever tool he was using, and then it would slip out of the tool, and then it would like flip around in the gum socket. So
Stop!
Yeah, it's super gross. I might actually put a disclaimer on this. But yeah, it was very frustrating for everyone involved, including the dentist, who actually got so angry that he had to take a walk around the office and then get back to it because he just couldn't get it. So that's always a good sign. So finally, my dentist goes, you know what? It's loose now, but I cannot get it. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna sew it back up, and what's gonna happen is eventually it'll start to poke out of the gum socket, and when that happens, you can come back in, we'll make a smaller incision so you won't need, like, crazy stitches, and then we'll just yank it out, right?
Oh, Brooke, I hate that.
I'm not a dentist, Olivia.
Okay.
So I had no idea what was, like, protocol, what wasn't. I just didn't know. So I leave, it heals, whatever. I come back to do like the post-op check or whatever, and he looks at it and he's like, well, maybe I can get it this time. And so he decides that he's gonna do it again. And he starts to make an incision, and then he looks at it and he's like, you know what? No, we're just gonna wait. So I had to end up healing for way longer on that one. And the next time I came in for post-op, there was this lump in my gums. And when I say in my gums, I wanna be as specific as possible. When you, like, when you feel the little space of flesh between the back of your upper gums and, like, your cheek area. That's what I'm talking about. So it wasn't really in the gum line anymore. It was just, like, this weird lump that was right at the edge of the gums, almost where the cheek muscle is. So I thought that was kind of weird, and it was small, but, like, rock hard. And so I went to the, ha ha ha.
My boyfriend in high school, casual roast.
Jesus.
I'm just putting it
was
out
he your
there.
friend, though? Anyway, so I went to the dentist again, and I was like, "Hey, doctor man, I've got this weird lump right next to where the incision was," and he was like, "Oh, that's just swelling. It'll go down in," he said, "I think a month." And I was like, "Okay, but it doesn't feel like swelling." And he's like, "Trust me, it's just swelling."
And you trusted him because he's a doctor man,
he was
apparently.
a doctor man. Yeah. And for 2 years, it did not get any smaller.
Oh, Brooke, come on.
I didn't say I was a smart man. And,
you aren't a doctor man.
I'm not a doctor man, and I'm also not an intelligent man. So
I'm not a man at all, actually.
I'm actually, as a matter of fact, not a man. So
just a point of clarification.
So I went home for 2 years, and I just sort of let it be, and finally, I kind of felt around back there, because I was like, this sort of feels like something I should be checking up on every now and then, and I realized that it was actually getting bigger, which is problematic. So,
how come I don't know this story? Have you not told me about a lump that was getting bigger?
I feel like I maybe did.
I feel like you mentioned it, like, in passing.
Right,
like, you're like,
I wasn't.
Yeah, I have, like, a tooth that's growing weird. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, this is problematic. So I went back to the original dentist who did the surgery. And instead, I got someone else. Like, I made an appointment for a recheck of this tooth, and I got a different doctor, which was super weird. And she was like, "I don't feel what you're talking about," when she was, like, poking around in my mouth. And I was like, "Yeah, that's because you're not poking in the right place." Because she was feeling around for, like, the gum socket, right? And I was like, "No, it's over here." And I, like, moved her hand to way in the back of my mouth where it was. And she was like, "Oh, geez." Which is a weird reaction.
That's not good noise for a doctor man to make.
Yeah, so she's like, "I have no idea what this is."
Oh, good.
And she goes, "So my best guess, based on the x-rays that we did and me feeling around, is that the tooth is actually there." So that's kind of weird. And so she goes, "I don't think we're going to be able to take care of this, so I'm going to refer you to a specialist."
What?
Go ahead and, yeah, she had to refer me to an oral surgeon.
Oh, no.
And now, I have a dental HMO, so this person was actually out of my network.
No.
So I had to go then find another specialist for them to refer me to, because I need a referral. This is so much, and I realize that it's getting way in depth.
It's okay, this is the education episode where we talk about teeth.
Yeah, the classic teeth episode. So I finally get the specialist. They take a full head x-ray, which was actually the dopest shit ever. They, like, put my head in a weird brace, and then this thing whirred around my whole skull for a while. It was awesome. And then they showed me the pictures, and the tech who took the x-ray was like, "Who did this?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "You had this tooth up there, and it was just kind of floating, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "There were no roots." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Why did they fuck with it?" And I'm like, "Were they not supposed to?" And he like sighed, and he shook his head, and he just goes, "No."
Oh no! That's not what I want to hear.
Right. And he's like, "Honestly, they could have just left it alone, and you would have been fine probably for your entire life. But now, because he fiddled with it, it's just been free floating this entire time, and now it has migrated to outside the gum line."
Hold on. Teeth without roots can, like, free float throughout
Kinda.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it was just kind of chilling out outside the gum line, and he was like, "So here's the problem, is that the surgeon, knows kind of where it is based on this x-ray, but in order to, like, have a precise location and just kind of get it out and be done with it, you're gonna need a CAT scan.
What the fuck?
Right? So, CAT scans are not covered by my dental insurance, so I shelled out $200 for the CT scan car. It was like a van that showed up in my apartment.
Wait, hold on. What?
It was amazing. So, it's this service that you can just do a portable CT scan, and they drive the van to your house or apartment or work. They offered to drive it to my work. And
can you imagine? Excuse me, boss.
No.
Can I take a break for like 15 and they need to give me a CAT scan?
Yeah,
it's just in the parking lot.
It was amazing. So he was super nice. They took the scan. I got copies of it. Olivia did in fact see these copies and drew a face on where the tooth was floating. Because he was just chilling out in space.
He was like
crazy.
Above your other teeth. I was like,
Yeah.
how the fuck did he get there?
It was wild. I don't know what the original dentist did to push it, like, so far out of whack, but it was not where it was supposed to be. So, the oral surgeon that I was going to be seeing only worked at the Costa Mesa office once or twice a month. So we then had to arrange it so that I was able to go to the office with my school schedule, and he was also there, which took 3 months.
Love that.
Which was awesome. And then I went in. They had to put me under general anesthetic this time because it was in such a weird spot that they couldn't have just done it while I was awake. And this was the first time I'd ever been asleep during surgery, which was, again, terrifying. So I laid down, and I'm going to go into the specifics of the anesthetic because it's just such a crazy experience to me. It was so bizarre. They laid me down, they put the IV in, and he starts talking to me, and I was panicking a little bit, and so they told me that I needed to lower my heart rate, so they told me to take deep breaths, and I was like, oh god, what happens if I don't get my heart rate down? And then I was like, okay, focus, you can do this. So I started to count backwards from 100, and I got to 89, and then I was like, what comes after 89? And then I go, oh, right, 88. And as I thought the number 88, I woke up. Which was so weird, because it was one continuous thought, and between the two thoughts, I was completely knocked out. They completed the surgery, and then I woke up with Christian sitting across from me, apparently. It was the coolest thing ever.
But your tooth is out?
It is. It might be infected.
Oh.
So I actually have no proof of this. I have been having, like, jaw stiffness ever since that surgery, and for a while I thought that was just the healing process, because, like, of course, right? It's gonna be sore for a while. And it's been 4 months, and it's still stiff, and it has gotten to the point where it gets so stiff and, like, awkward that it actually causes pressure headaches.
No.
So I have an appointment for June 4th, and I'm gonna get it checked out again, and we're gonna see if there's anything going on up there, and I'll probably get a round of antibiotics, and it'll be... So this is my lesson to you children who haven't gotten your wisdom teeth out.
Never get your wisdom teeth out?
No, you should, because then they will get infected if they're impacted, and you could, like... It could be a real problem.
Oh.
But, you know... As you grow up, come here, sit on Grandma's lap, and I'll tell you a good moral tale.
Oh boy.
Sometimes stuff doesn't work out the way you want, but you gotta do it anyway.
Yep.
And
that's adulthood.
That's the end of my story, is sometimes you just gotta.
Yeah. Good
anyway,
lesson.
That's my tooth story. Why did you want me to tell the tooth story?
Well, because I didn't know it was that long. I thought you were just gonna say that you had, like, an impacted, like, you had soreness and you didn't get it checked out for, like, months. I didn't realize that this was the result of you not checking it for years.
Look, it was just, I didn't, you're right, I should have done something about it, but I didn't.
Okay, I concede. I didn't handle it the best way. Why are you making me talk about it on the podcast?
So welcome to our educational horror stories, where Brooke talks about her dental nightmares that are mostly her fault. Cool. Jesus. Okay, let's get back on track with the actual point of this episode. question number 2 is, what is your biggest pet peeve about your college department or the people in your major?
All right. I will say it, and I'm gonna sound like a dickhead, but it is what it is. My biggest problem with the UCLA physics department is that everybody's fucking disgusting. Now let me qualify this, all right?
Yeah.
The men are just men. Like, men are disgusting unless some external force is being acted upon them to take care of themselves. I've seen my boyfriend before we started dating. I think that's a very fair statement for me to make. The men are driving in their car right now and they're like,
Yeah, what the
yeah,
fuck?
all right. Like, they're like, yeah, all right. So I wasn't surprised by that. What I'm surprised by is the girls, because there's this very strange, like, mentality of, like, you're better if you don't take care of yourself. And
Interesting.
I think I mildly talked about this in a previous episode where, at least in the
yes.
sciences, there's this weird competition for whoever is doing the poorest mentally. Like, people would be like, oh, man, I went to bed at like 1 a.m. last night. And somebody else is like, huh, you think that's bad? I went to bed at 4 a.m. And then someone legitimately went, well, I slept in my car last night. And it's like, you don't need to do that. You know, like,
I don't feel inferior to you.
Right?
I kind of feel bad for you.
And so it's escalated, at least here, in the manifestation of poor physical hygiene. So I don't remember if I said it on the podcast, but there was a time where I don't spend a lot of money on like cars or clothes. My phone is barely fucking working right now, and my computer's on its last goddamn legs.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I spend my money on. Everybody had like one thing they do just to make them happy, and mine is skincare products. I fucking love skincare products.
Mine
it's my
is
one
nail
thing.
polish.
And everybody's got their thing, right?
Yep.
And so I made a joke. I got this, like, for my birthday, I had a gift card, and the, like, one thing I've always wanted is a Dermatologica. It's a very expensive microexfoliant, but it's so fucking good, and it lasts forever, and it's a very good investment. So I made a joke in front of a couple physics students, and I said, I've spent a fortune on skincare products to prevent this department from having an effect on my face. God. And my teacher laughed, and I said, with the maracuja oil and the $40 microexfoliant, I think I'm definitely preventing an impact. And the girl goes, you have time to wash your face? And I'm like, bro, no. Whoa. No, you shower. Just do me a favor, just fucking splash some water on your face. I don't know, just... something.
It's not that hard to just kind of...
You could put potty soap on your face for just...
Yeah, it's not that hard,
And so that was the first time that happened. There was another time where Hassan...
I just wanna, like, really quick...
Yeah.
I want to put a caveat on this. There is absolutely something to be said for the levels of mental illness in departments where you, like, are working all the time on stuff that's just crazy town, right? Like, I get it. And also, hygiene generally is one of those first things that goes when you're mentally ill. But when your reasoning for not washing your face is, I don't have time. No.
Like, if you say, like, I don't really, like, I never do my hair. My hair's in a fucking ponytail. Like, I don't get manicures. I get it. Like, you don't have to be spending $1 kajillion on yourself.
Right.
Wash your face.
Wash your face.
That's bare minimum. Bare minimum.
Honestly, a washcloth, warm water, and then a splash of cold water
is enough
to close your pores. That's better than nothing, my dude. And, and also that's actually kind of nice for people who... I remember when the depression was real bad for me, washing my face with, like, the full 3-part skincare routine was just so much for me.
Yeah, 100%.
But you still gotta do something.
Yeah.
You gotta.
and so that was the first instance where something like that happened. The next instance, Hassan had come late to a class, so he was sitting in the back of the room with back of the room physics people, which are very frightening. And he heard...
I don't even want to know.
Back of the room physics people are something else. And so Hassan sits down, And there's a girl, she has like a mild breakout, like when don't we? I have a mild breakout right now, it's whatever, right? And she says something to the effect of, I just don't understand why people spend money on skincare products. I think people who spend money on skincare products like just don't understand science. And her friend goes, yeah, I mean like breakouts are natural. Why fight them? And I'm like, dude, I feel like dermatologists are scientists.
Yeah, probably.
And my dermatologist knows far more than I do about skincare and probably knows what she's talking about. I don't have a dermatologist because it's for the bit, but my point is, what the fuck? And so like, and and I think it bothers me so much because it's women, and then they make fun of women who take care of themselves. And so the reason why I say this, and I don't say this with any like ego involved, if anybody knows me, they know that I have very low self-esteem. But
Olivia.
But you know, I dress nice and I put an effort into my skincare. Like, yeah, my hair is up all the time, and I wear makeup occasionally, but I say like I put more effort than most into my appearance. It's just something that makes me feel good.
Right.
And like I've definitely felt tension with other girls in my department for dressing the way that I do, because I don't dress like I'm bordering a complete mental collapse. And like,
oh my God.
It's this weird mentality of like, if you spend time on yourself, then you're like not really like as good as other people, because like, why would you waste time on your appearance if you're trying to take school very seriously? No girls in my department talk to me. There's like two girls that actively talk to me. I've noticed that I've gotten like glares in class if like I walk in with like a really cute revealing outfit. And so I guess it bothers me and it affects me because it's like this like girl against girl attitude. Yeah. And it really bothers me. And like, I know that I've heard like there are girls that are like quote unquote intimidated by me. I'm not really quite sure why. And so they avoid me. And like, it's just, so as a result, I only have guy friends because.
Yeah. I have kind of noticed that whenever you tell stories, it's your dudes.
Yep.
And there aren't generally girls. It's so interesting because like society is sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. Not to moralize, but like it is this sort of weird thing where people say like, oh, we shouldn't feel like we need to wear makeup, or we shouldn't feel like we need to dress a certain way. Yeah. And then people take that as, why are you attacking my right to do those things? And it's like, no, I'm not. It's just that people shouldn't have to be considered viable human beings.
100%.
But like, there's this weird thing that I think is specific to, I guess, micro societies would be this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's almost valued to, I don't know, subvert expectations of femininity. And like, that's so tough, because then the end result is someone who wants to be valued by this society of scientists, am going to now alienate anyone who even a little bit demonstrates that they like being feminine, or that they like wearing makeup, or whatever. And it's just such a weird line to walk, and it feels like there's no winning for women.
Yeah.
Ever. It's just...
Yeah. It's like this weird system, like in certain circles, if you don't wear makeup, you get comments about how you look tired, and like you get criticisms on your appearance. And then in this one, if I dress up or look really pretty, I get glares or negative comments, or people just like straight up don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with someone where they said like, whenever I go to conferences, I never wear makeup because I want to be taken seriously. And like, my argument,
so sad.
And my argument was like, and I've gone to conferences, I've done presentations, I've interacted with so many people and teachers, like I'm close friends with teachers. I've actually never had, like, I've had maybe one or two experiences in my entire life where people were shitty about me wearing makeup. I've had far more experiences with people being shitty about me wearing makeup, which is like, by going out of your way to avoid femininity, you kind of reinforce that idea that you can only be taken seriously if you disregard femininity.
Right,
like,
it's this internalized misogyny where it's like, well, if you look like a woman or act like the society's interpretation of what a woman should be, then you're a step back.
Yeah.
Right, you're a step back for feminists and women's rights or whatever, and it's just it's not a one-to-one correlation, and there's no real good solution to it. But I do know that by marginalizing and hating other women, like you're part of the problem. It's shitty.
Yep. So there's my.
Yeah. Wow. We got heavy into the society part of it.
We talked about teeth and feminism. What's next?
Next up is,
No, you didn't answer. You didn't answer with something that bothers you about your department.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to lead into it. It's not about the students and it's not about the teachers.
Okay.
Mine is about the counseling system at UCI.
Ooh.
So, this was one of the most outrageous experiences I ever had. Just period, dealing with the bureaucracy of a public school,
Dude, I have to say, though, like, as a side note to completely validate you, so you went straight into UCI, I did community, and then had to do the whole transfer process.
Right.
I have never in my life dealt with such obstructive bureaucracy like UCI.
I remember.
Oh my fucking Christ. That was straight up a Kafka novel.
It was awful.
There was no steps forward and no steps back. Just more of like, here's a new step. Wait, can I progress? No, it's just different. And you're like, okay. So
yeah, I remember you were telling me that like people just didn't know how to do their job and you had to do it for them.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit of that. So I started out as a drama major. Laughter. Pause for...
Oh, BB.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. It's funny when I tell people at work that, because then they just sort of chuckle, and I'm like, yeah, same. And nothing against drama majors. I think that they're all actually quite brave, but I do not have it in me. I don't. I had to come to terms with the fact that I don't have it in me. So anyway, I was transferring from the drama major into the English major because I realized that I'm a pretty decent writer and I can probably market an English degree better than I can a drama degree. So what I needed to do, because I had already completed 2 years of college, if I wanted to graduate on time, I needed to prove to the registrar's office that I could actually take the classes that I needed to take within the 2 years that I had left. So what that meant was they emailed me this little form with the blocks for each of the quarters for the next 2 years, and I needed to fill them with classes that were going to be offered in the coming quarters, whatever. So the difficulty that I saw immediately was that we don't know what classes are going to be offered until probably 3 weeks before the quarter starts.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, so there's no
Is that
magazine.
normal?
So, kinda. Usually it's easy to look at previous years and say, this is probably what's going to be offered, because those are, like, there are standards that have to be met, right? They need to offer classes that allow their students to graduate. So that's fine, but there are some that are exceptions to the rule. So classes that require specialized professors, if the professor is absent or something comes up, then those classes can be canceled. For instance, just this last quarter, they were offering a class in the fall for Writing 110, which is advanced fiction writing, and they had to cancel it altogether because something happened with the professor. So that stuff happens all the time. I filled out the stuff. I went to a counselor's office, and I think the thing that happened that sort of facilitated my needing to go into the office in person was that I had a Spanish class that I needed to take. I actually had three.
Yeah,
three Spanish classes. And what ended up happening was I thought that I only needed 1 year of Spanish, but in the humanities major, you need 2. So that's 6, the equivalent of 6 quarters.
Gugh.
I didn't know how to make it fit, and B, whether or not those classes would be offered, because UCI is notoriously bad about just language courses in general. I don't know what it is about that, but they will only offer like certain subsections of language courses per quarter. It's a disaster. So I decided it would just be easier if I went to the counselor's office, sat down with my counselor, the one who was assigned to me, and talked about my options for continuing for the next 2 years, what I needed to prove to them in order to be approved for switching into the English major. So I walk in, there's a line, because, of course, I
can't have bureaucracy without a line.
It's a necessity. It's just part
It's an aesthetic. The people aren't even in line. They just keep them there as placeholders so you feel, like, dismayed.
Decoration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I walk in. There are 2 lines. One of them is for people with appointments, and one of them are for people without appointments who just want to sort of walk in and talk about various things. One of the things I saw was actually graduation requirements, so I thought, perfect, that's exactly what I'm here for. So I walk up to the window, and I met with, I don't know her name anymore, but this woman who immediately just seemed kind of angry.
Good!
Which is a great way to start out. So I go, hi, I need to, speak to... I'm probably going to bleep out the name. I need to speak with my counselor, and this is what I need to talk to her about. Thanks. And the woman behind the desk was like, so you want to, like, go in and see her? And
no, actually, I would like to take a small walk with her around the school. We could meander and discuss my future. Is that possible? Fuck off.
And I'm like, yeah, I need to discuss the classes that are going to be available for these coming 2 years, because I don't have access to that. None of us do. So I need to talk to her to know which classes I should take, for instance, next quarter, so that I'm not setting myself up to fail a year down the line. Does that make sense? And she's like, yeah, I mean, you need to just fill this out. And I'm like...
Another fucking form. Another goddamn form.
And it wasn't even another form. She was just telling me to do the thing that I was coming in to ask questions about.
Oh my god.
And I was like, yeah, maybe I wasn't clear. I need to switch majors, and I was given this form. And I don't know how to fill it out because I don't have access to the class listings for the next 2 years. Does that make sense? And she's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but you need to email the counselor that you got this form from. And I'm like, so what I'm hearing is that you're not going to let me talk to a counselor. And she's like, yes.
What the fuck?
And I just kind of wonder what their job is, if not to talk to students. Right? And I was like, look, I'm willing to wait. Like, if it's a problem with appointments, like, I get it. I'm willing to wait because I need to sort of get this information filled out, because if I don't, then I'm not going to graduate on time. And she just, like, refused. She was just being circuitous for the sake of not letting me in. And she answered none of my questions, and she was just supremely unhelpful. And
was this person, like, a student worker?
No, she was definitely not a student. I think she might have just been employed by the school. I left so angry, because it was just, why are they here? Why is this office even here if there's no...
The illusion of efficiency. That's
right?
That's UCI's entire model.
It's
the illusion
insane.
of efficiency.
Like, this was only second to my experiences with financial aid, which we don't even need to get into, because it was so... They lost my file 3 times, Olivia!
No way! Oh my god, I fucking hate UCI. I'm so sorry.
Worst.
It's like the most bureaucratic institution that I've ever had the misfortune of interacting with, and they're the worst at it.
And like, the UCs you'd think would sort of be uniform in the way that they handle this stuff. They're not.
No.
It's just outrageous. I was blown away, and I talked to other people, and I was like, is this how this just goes? And people who had experience with it, they were like, oh yeah, don't ever go there. They won't help you. Ever.
Yeah, like, the story that Brooke mentioned in brief is when I was trying to transfer, I was trying to figure out all of my transfer units. Yeah. And the thing is, I had finished, I can't even fucking believe I did this, I'd finished my general chem, my O-chem, my mathematics, my physics, and part of my biology series. That's a fuckload of classes.
That's a whole lot.
Right? And I was fully qualified for any physics major because I'd finished the math and the physics. fully qualified for any chem major, but the one that I wanted to go into at UCI was, I think, pharmacy or something, because I liked the research. And UCI has this 5-quarter introductory biology sequence, and they only offer one of the classes per quarter.
Right.
So I would be entering, and I had completed the classes that they would be offering the quarter I transfer, so I'd have to wait until they offer the classes that I don't have, because I would have only had 3 out of the 5 completed. And because of the lower division ones, I wouldn't be able to take any upper division classes.
Right.
Meaning that I would be transferring there to take, like, 2 classes my first year, and then a fuckload of classes in the last year to compensate for it. I would be taking easily 18 units per quarter to try to catch up that last year. And so the lady was like, you should probably double major or get a minor to fill those classes. So then I was like, okay, I'll do computational linguistics, because it had barely any prereqs. And it was just like, I had to call different departments and write down the numbers. Nobody knew what the fuck they were talking about, so it got to the point where I learned your numbering system and your prereqs, both through assist.org and everything listed on the websites. And I would go into counselors, and they'd be afraid, because I'd start listing the numbers and the section numbers and the prerequisites, and they were like, let me ask my supervisor. And I'm like, this is fucking obscene. And it just got to the point where I was like, I'm so frustrated. I'm just going to go to UCLA, because they already have my prereqs met, and I don't have to deal with any bullshit. Not that I'm upset that I went. It was more of like, fuck it. I'm going to drop the money to just go somewhere else.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. In the English major, there's like, the course numbers are listed as there are these prerequisites that you have to take for kind of everything. In order to take upper division, there's like English 10, 15, there's a 12 in there, I think there's an 8. There's no rhyme or reason to this, but when you look at the prerequisites listed for instance, English 100, which is your first upper division, or anything above that, it says you need to take the English 29 A through D series. And I'm fucking up that number because I don't remember what it was, but it's something like that. There is no English 29 A through D. That doesn't exist at all. And so if you go through the catalog and you're like, well, I need to take English 29 A through D in order to take all of my upper divisions, then it's just not there. And, you know, you're kind of left wondering, if you don't know what's going on, how the hell am I going to get to take my upper division classes? And it turns out that without telling anyone, or at least not telling anyone in an effective way, without listing it on the schedule of classes, 29A through D had been replaced by English 8, English 10, English 12, and English 15. So those were the classes that you needed to take, but they didn't tell anybody that. And so what happened to me, and I'm sure to hundreds of other students, if not thousands, is that I finished 8, 10, 15, and 12, and when I tried to apply to get into the upper division classes, I got a notification saying, you are not qualified to take these classes because you have not finished 29A through D.
Oh my God!
They updated the goddamn system to reflect the new numbers.
Holy shit! So UCI is really just one big, it's like a Kafka-esque chicken game where they're just either waiting for you to drop out or be persistent enough to do it on your own.
I had to email the not the dean, but like the registrar head or whatever, and I had to tell him what classes I wanted to take. He had to approve the request, and then I could enroll. It was insanity. I just can't believe the utter incompetence. It's crazy.
I think that's what I appreciate about being, like, my physics department is actually very small relative to how big, like, I think the graduating class for the physics department last year was like 100 people. Like,
yeah.
Very small. So as a result, they have a rigid schedule. They're like, this lab is only offered in the spring. Always. And like, it's so, and it's so wonderful to just know for a fact, like, all right, well, this is going to be offered this time, so I just have to plan ahead and like put it in there. Versus like, even the biology department in UCI was like that. Like, I was like,
the biology department's huge.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait to take the fucking virology class. And my friend was like, oh yeah, they haven't offered that in 4 years. And I'm like, why is it fucking listed then? And she's like, well, like, they have to wait 5 years before they can take it off, but they haven't offered it in 4 years because the teacher left. But they teach the right virology lab. And I'm like, then why don't they have the lecture? And she goes, oh, because the teacher left. And I'm like, okay, but do you see my problem here? Like, and like,
There's just an issue.
and you would have to go online. They had this weird Excel spreadsheet and show you which specific quarters certain biology classes would be listed. And I'm like, this is too much. This is too much.
UCI, man. It's something else.
Yeah, so
God.
that was the second question. What time are we at right now?
We're almost at the hour mark, and we're only down 2 questions.
Holy shit, are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Jesus, because the only other story I have is probably a 20-minute story, is my history group project.
God. Yeah, that's the projects one. Yeah, if you want to tell your history project story, my group project is more of like this was my only experience with group projects, and so this is my overview, so mine will be pretty short.
Okay. You want to go first? Because then I can close on my fucking yelling.
Oh, yeah. Yours was this was kind of the hallmark of educational horror stories and wanting to do it again, because this was the craziest thing for you. Oh man, I felt so bad for you.
It's fine.
For me, I mentioned before that I once was a drama major.
TBT.
And yeah, TBT. And I didn't have too many group projects because the classes that I took, the general education classes that I took were purposefully very easy. And so I didn't have to do crazy projects or work with people ever.
Yes, my 2 least favorite things in the world.
Group projects and working with people. And instead, I would have to take these drama classes, and all of them involved, at some point or another, doing scenes with other actors. Now, I don't want to point any one out in particular, because
Says full name.
Name, address, and phone number. It's just this thing that happens, and I think it's impossible to describe without the audience having some working knowledge of actors. They are the worst. I am the worst. They are the worst. We're all absolute egomaniacs. We wouldn't do it if we weren't doing it for the attention. I don't care what your actor friend tells you. I do it for the art. I love the work. Fuck off. You like it when people laugh at your jokes when you're standing on stage. That's it. That's the only reason we do this, is because one day we realized that we could supplement the attention we didn't get from our family with an audience.
Oh my god! You know, though, I used to do acting, and you're not wrong at all. I'm like, at least the audience loves me.
Honestly.
And then the moment the audience doesn't, it's a heartbreaking experience.
It's devastating. Which makes group projects sort of hard, because the point of it is you go up and you don't get adoration, you get torn apart by the 56-year-old drama teacher who once tried to have an acting career and then didn't. So, yeah, that's actually mean. All the people who work at UCI are very talented people, but it's, why am I afraid of burning those bridges? It's not like I'm gonna use this. Anyway, so what would end up happening is, you know, you'd be paired up with 2 or 3 people, usually not people you chose, occasionally people you knew but not well, and you would then receive a scene, or you would have to find one, which was the worst part of all of this, was trying to find... It's the worst! And, like, usually if you're doing it from a play that's well-known, you run the risk of, like, I'm doing Streetcar, and everybody goes, ugh! And it's or you pick up another, like, lesser-known play, and you realize that the writing is terrible, and, like...
Yeah, there's a reason lesser plays are lesser-known, is just all I'm gonna say.
There's so much of that. Anyway, so... there's that portion, and then you actually start working on the thing, and you realize that everybody in there is a type A personality, and that's kind of a problem, because then everybody thinks that their ideas are the smartest ideas in the room, and everybody else is a moron. and only one of them is right. So...
which is me, obviously.
Which is obviously me. So... you see what I mean? We're the worst. We are the worst. So, you know, you end up working on this project, and one of two things happens. Either you kind of take a back seat, and I say you, I mean me, I take a back seat, and let the person who clearly has the better ideas just kind of take over. Because that happened more than once. I was willing to admit, hey, I have no idea what to do for this. Let's just sort of...
Jeremy, go ahead. Take the wheel.
Yeah, do your thing. You know, you've been acting since you were 4, and I'm sure your parents had nothing to do with this at all, but let's take your ideas. And, or you would know, I would know what the right way to do a scene was, and the other person would be like, actually, no, I want to do it this way. And you'd hear the idea, and you'd have to pretend that it wasn't garbage. Right? Like, because you don't want to say, ew, no, that's gross. You'd have to be like,
no, you
that's...
fucking moron!
You'd have to be like, yeah, that's a good idea. What if we did it like this instead, though? And hope to God that they didn't see through your clever ruse. And I kind of felt bad every time I had to do one of these projects, because there were so many times when they'd be like, let's do this for blocking, and then they'd, like, just...
do some, like, jazz hands and a box step, and you're like, oh, you know what? That does sound like a box step would go great in Hamlet's monologue, but hear me out.
Maybe we should not do that instead.
What if we reinvent the West Side Story dance and integrate it into King Lear? And you're like, ooh, I hear you, but...
So that was pretty much the extent of all of my projects that I ended up working on with actors, or even worse, people who were tech people, because all the drama majors, including people who did, like, set design or lighting design, they had to take acting classes to graduate. So you had these people who had zero interest in acting whatsoever, which is fair, but then they had to be in projects with people who were very serious actors, and there was some tension there, just in general. And, it was always quite fun to watch, actually. It actually was not. There was one time, I'll make this very quick, there was one time when we were in an advanced acting class, which you'd think would kind of weed out the people who didn't give a shit.
Yep.
You'd think. And twice we had to put up the same scene, and thank God this was not my scene, because I might have actually committed a murder if it had.
Oof.
This girl refused to learn her lines, and just kinda decided that she was gonna wing it, and her scene partner was quite responsible. And she, you know, memorized the lines, she memorized the blocking, and the other girl just kind of sat in a chair for the entire scene and didn't know her lines.
Oh, that's painful to watch.
I would have done a kill. I would have done a murder. It would have been a bad time. I know me, I know who I am, and I know that I am not a good enough person to just sort of let that roll off my back.
Yeah.
I would have been so angry. God, and it was painful to watch, because then the professor, of course, immediately knew, oh, this person just didn't do the work, and he then chastised her in front of the entire class, you know, as you do in a drama class. So,
wonderful. Actors.
Don't associate with them. They don't deserve it.
Ugh. That's a mood. So,
I'm kidding. Please don't come for me if you're an actor. Jesus.
They're like, hey, I'm an actor and I heard what you said today, and I just want to say thank you for speaking the truth. Honestly,
yeah, you're right.
I have too many friends for what I do.
Oh, God, yeah.
So my group project, if you recall, I've mentioned a few times, there was one episode that we recorded that I was just so full of visceral rage, and this is that group project, and it's fucking time. So buckle up, because you might think to yourself, UCLA is a prestigious university that is highly selective in the students that it accepts.
Oh, is it though?
My experience... All you have
to do is bribe somebody to get in or something, huh?
I bet all of those people that did that were in my group discussion section, because... Oh my God, welcome to UCLA, where everyone is smarter than you except the people in your group project.
Gotta love it.
So I took my history of neoliberalism course, and he said day one that there's going to be a group project. and I, reasonably, considered dropping the class.
Yep.
Because I hate group projects. I hate group projects because unless it's in upper division classes, like, after the culling has occurred, I don't want to work with people. When I get to upper division labs, everybody, like, most of the time, everybody knows what they're fucking doing. Anybody that doesn't has dropped or switched to something else. Mm-hmm. But this is a general education class, so I knew it was going to be a hellscape. What I did not realize was that this was not a small 4-person group project. This was a group project that you would do with your entire discussion section. So this was a group project where there was 26 people per group.
No.
Now you might be thinking, wow, that seems logistically impossible.
Yeah.
You are thinking correctly. Now, it is a 10-week quarter system, and this project is due week 9.
No.
When did we start it?
Oh, God. Week 5, maybe?
7. Ah! When were we supposed to start it? Week 5. Now, you might be wondering how that happened. So, on week 6, our TA for our group discussion said, by the way, nobody has offered any suggestions for what we're going to be doing for the group project. So, do we want to talk about it here? And I'm like, yes, I would like to talk about it here.
Yes, please.
Now, I generally defer power. I don't like being the boss of people in group projects just because I get so angry, and I have very low patience for people that are doing dumb bullshit. But I get things done. So I was listening to people, and I was like, hey, whatever they want to fucking do, I don't care. This is GE class. I just need the project done.
Yeah.
And the first suggestion somebody had said, let's do, hold on, there's a helicopter mating outside.
Ugh.
Why do I have to live near a hospital where they drop people off all the time?
How dare they save lives?
Yeah, fuck them, man. I'm trying to do a podcast over here.
So inconsiderate.
God, I just wave a flag that's like, please be quiet, and they turn off the helicopter midair.
It just falls to the ground. Oh, that's fucked, Olivia.
I'm going to hell. There's an edit I saw, and it had a Saving Private Ryan intro, but they edited Mr. Blue Sky over it, and it works too goddamn well. It's so fun.
Oh, I want to see it.
I'll send it to you after we finish recording. Okay, so so I'm listening to. Oh my god, is there another one? Are they remating? Okay, so so I'm listening to these suggestions, and somebody suggests something that I don't even remember. I remember thinking, okay, it's a fine. And this is a neoliberalism course, but it's interdisciplinary. It's being taught in the history department, but as I've done with many of my episodes that have been based on stuff in that class, it includes a lot of econ, a lot of poli-sci, a lot of history. And so there was a guy in the class who was an econ major, and he's like, I don't really, like, the topic of the project was supposed to be something that involved counter-revolutions, right? Like something that was anti-neoliberal. And so somebody offered a suggestion. He said, I don't know, I don't really feel like that integrates a lot of the economics. Like, I just feel like it's an interesting topic, but it doesn't necessarily, like, apply to neoliberal policies.
Right.
Which I thought was a fair criticism. And one girl just fucking whips her head around, and she goes, okay, well, how do you define, like, a neoliberal policy then? Because, like, I feel like there's a lot of options we could go with this project. And I went in my head, oh, this is going to be a dumpster fire.
Oh, God.
And so he just wasn't super sold on it. And so we put a couple things on the board, and she would keep interrupting and showing artwork made from that counter-revolution. And be like, how do you not want to do a project on this? Look at the art that's come out of it. Because she's an art history major.
That's not the point.
And I'm like, oh boy. And so nobody's saying anything or voting on anything, and the TA is trying not to get involved. So I'm just like, fuck it. All right, so let's pick our top 3. Everybody vote for this one, this one, this one. We go through, we pick the number 2, and then we go between those 2. I say, is everybody all right with this? And I'm like, honestly, if you're not, let us know. One guy said he still wasn't sold on it. I said, okay, well, how about this? We're going to have to split up the work. If, I know you're an econ major, work with your strengths. You can do the entire section with a couple people on the economics aspect of this movement. Talk about global trade, the impact it had on this environment, and you can go hard on the econ. Does that sound good? And he's like, yeah, that does sound good. Like, easy.
Yeah.
Everybody's fucking happy. It's not difficult to do. Your communications majors fucking figure it out. Now.
What?
We're already getting mad. So that was week 6.
Yeah.
It was week 6. And so I said, okay, so we're splitting up the groups like this. Everybody's in their own groups. We should have at least some bullet points of what we know we're going to be talking about. Okay. So a week from now...
I'm sorry, this is a presentation?
We're making a website that our teacher will be presenting to a class of 300 people.
Okay.
So I say, let's have bullet points so that we know what we're talking. No heavy research, just post some stuff, just have an idea, so there's no overlap. Mm-hmm. A week passes. And nothing happens. So we're on week 7 now, and it's due in 2 weeks. A massive 26-person group project is due in 2 weeks. So I say, okay, we clearly need to figure something out. I've made a Google Drive that has everyone's email saved, so we can all see what everybody else is writing.
Right.
And I've organized you all into different documents in this group drive. So the economics section has theirs, the political science one has theirs, the culture, like everybody has their own. We can all see that the other people are working on it. Here's the timeline. And I remember the timeline.
Oh, God.
I said, to make sure that this is done in time, I need you to make sure that you have a rough outline of what you are going to be writing so that everybody can see what you're doing and we're not having overlap. So by next class, write a bullet point outline so that we can take a look at it and peer review it.
Sure.
1 week passes, right? Nobody has written anything except for my group.
God.
Because my group is the one that has me in it. See this?
Sure.
See the problem here?
I do
see what's happening here?
See, the solution is that you need to clone yourself.
Ooh. So now we're at week 8. And it is due, we are at Thursday night, and it is due Monday evening. Okay? Nobody's done any work except for my group. Right? And so we have 4 designated topic groups. A girl dedicated to the website, a girl dedicated to, like, coordinating, and at that point, I've also taken over that power, so it's me and this one girl whose name is Rebecca. I don't remember her name. We'll call her Rebecca. She and I were so fucking pissed at the inadequacy in this. 26 people, you'd think one of them would be intelligent. All right? You know? Anyway.
Oh, God.
Anyway. I make it explicitly clear what the timeline is. I say, you are to write and complete your final drafts for your section by Saturday night. Because on Sunday, another group dedicated to copywriting and editing is going to proofread your section. And upon approval of that section, they will submit it to the publishing group, who is going to format and make the website in, also I will say, 24 hours, which I think is far less time than they should have to make a website, right? But this is the timeline. Does everybody understand? I said the actual dates. I said like the 26th or whatever it was. I went to each individual group and said, you are to submit your final draft by Saturday night. Everybody understood? Everybody heard me. I got the contact information from one representative from each of the groups to email them on Saturday night to confirm that it was submitted. Okay? And so I also said, the best time, let's put a deadline, for at least my group, I said, let's do by 12 p.m. I will be submitting our final drafts to the copywriting team. Like, I think I said, it had to be Saturday because we were recording, right? I said, I'm going to submit it by 12 p.m. So I log onto my computer at 11:50 on Saturday, 10 minutes before we are to record. My final draft is done. My citations are done. Everything's done with my end. And one of my group members has the audacity to still be working on her section at 11:50 in the morning, 10 minutes before I am to submit it. So I'm texting them, and I'm going, I don't know what the fuck to do, because I told them I would be submitting this, and, like, they know. And, like, one of the guys made no edits that I made. I made suggestions for him to edit, and he made no edits, right? And I'm 10 minutes away from recording, and I'm fucking fuming, because this is 30% of my grade.
Oh my God.
And so,
that's unfair. That's just straight up unfair of the professor to do.
And... Whew, I'm getting hives.
Oh, no.
And so I message them and I go, I have to submit this. Like, are you done? One of the girls was like, I'm sorry, I'm finishing up. She looked like she was almost done. So I was like, okay, deep breath. They'll get it done when they get it done. You'll be done recording at 2 p.m. And at that point, you're submitting it whether or not they're done. Because I had agreed with the other coordinator that we were going to be putting everyone's name on their individual paragraphs at this point. Because we were going to do a collaborative summary, but clearly that wasn't fucking working. So everybody was going to do a topic. We were going to put their name on it so the teacher know who did what.
Right.
Right? So 2 p.m. arrives after we're done recording. And one of the dudes texts me, I'm on my way home now to finish it.
No.
No. I said, sorry, I'm leaving, so I'm going to be submitting it. And I submit it without his edits done. Hers is done, whatever, right?
Cool.
Submit it over. That is my Saturday.
Oh
I think I went to go visit Matt or something because I
Yeah.
wanted to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible.
Oh my god.
Spend the night with Matt, chill out a little bit, get back on Sunday. Sunday night, I text the coordinator, and I said, by the way, did you get all of the essays? And she goes, LOL, funny you ask, I got yours.
That's it?
So there are 4 groups, and one of them submitted theirs, which is mine. So the copywriting team met on Sunday and had nothing to edit,
Holy shit.
which is super great. So I email every representative from each group and said, just to confirm, this was due yesterday and the copywriting team has not had time to edit it. Are you going to be submitting it? I got answers from 2 of the groups. Right. And they, like, one guy was like, I'm sorry, ours is done. He actually submitted it. It was a fair amount of, like, writing. The other...
Oh no.
The economics group, the ones that made a huss about, like, we don't have enough economics to talk about, who were, by the way, all econ majors.
Sure.
5 people collaboratively, I said a word count. I said, each of you should write 600 words. That's not a lot of words.
It's not.
That's
like
actually
a
very
page.
few words, right? And 5 people collaboratively together submitted 750 words.
Oh my god.
So that was the entire econ section for a counter-revolution that occurred over a 25-year period that was the result of NAFTA taxes, like import taxes and fees on, like, South America, but specifically Mexico as a whole. So I could fucking write, like, 6 pages on that. I don't understand how... There's no shortage of material for you.
Oh my god.
Right? And so my favorite part was Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. I got an email from the political science group that had the audacity to say to me that they didn't understand that they were supposed to write an essay. They thought that they would be submitting bullet points for the copywriting team to write their essay for them.
What?
Which is insane behavior. Like, what? Oh my god, just reasonably. That doesn't make any fucking sense, you dunce. And I had to calmly say, I reiterated multiple times during class that you had deadlines and what the requirements were and what the word count was. If you haven't submitted at this point, you need to collaborate with Rebecca, right?
Yeah,
Rebecca's fucking fuming. I'm more mad than Rebecca is, right?
Yeah.
And Rebecca's like, okay, they submitted 450 words.
No!
A 4 group. Like, what? You're My entire group, collaboratively, our entire section was 4,000 words. So to submit, to have the fucking balls on you.
1/10. 1/10.
Oh
my god, I can't fucking breathe.
So that's Monday, right? When is it due? It's due Monday night. Why is it due Monday night?
Because you have to.
Because he's presenting it on Wednesday.
Oh my god.
So, Monday night at 11, I get a text from Rebecca that says, hey, have you talked to Jessica at all? Who is responsible for our website? And I go, I don't even know who Jessica is. And she goes, okay, because she hasn't responded to me in 3 days, and she has the login for the website. You know, the one that's due tonight. And I go, LOL, because how could it get worse? So, at 12:45 in the morning, Jessica, who do I hate? Jessica texts Rebecca and says, sorry, my phone died.
For 3 days?
You knew the group project. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be peeking the fuck out of my audio. You knew the group project was due today at 11:59. It's week 9. You've known for weeks that you'd think you'd charge your phone at the one fucking point of the quarter where it actually goddamn mattered, Jessica. Right? And so she says, I'm sorry, I'll work on it tonight.
What? No,
whatever.
it's over.
When was it finally submitted? It was submitted on Tuesday at like 3 p.m., which is by all means late. But whatever. Now, how could it fucking get worse? I'm crying. I'm having a fucking meltdown. So, on Tuesday night, the day before he's presenting it to a 350-person lecture hall, okay? I checked the website, and what she had decided was the best plan of action was to collaborate with the Hammer Museum.
Yeah.
And get them to publish it on their website.
What?
I don't know. She had the login for it. I thought it was a bad idea. But what the fuck do I know about website design, daughter of a graphic designer? Who gives a fuck, right? Weebly's free, you know? It's not like it's hard,
Yeah,
right?
It's got templates. It's got all sorts of stuff.
Now, what do I see when I open up the website?
Oh, probably not what you should.
I don't see anything because the website removed all our content. Now, it is the night. It is the night before he is presenting it. So I text Jessica, and I go, hey, Jessica, just wondering, where the fuck's the website? And she goes, oh my god, I was about to fucking text you. Buckle your fucking seatbelt. And I go, okay. And she goes, well, apparently, Rebecca, Jessica, I don't remember which one.
Rebecca's
Let's
the
just
nice
give her
one,
a
Jessica's
completely
the bad
different
one.
name. Jessica's the one that's the coordinator. What's a bad name? What name do we hate?
Vicky.
Vicky's the one we don't like. Vicky's the one that's in charge of the fucking website. She goes, you see, Vicky didn't properly coordinate with the Hammer Museum. It didn't explain what she was doing thoroughly. And the Hammer Museum wasn't a huge fan of the content, which I can agree with because I read it, and it was trash. So they asked her to take it all down the night before he's presenting it. So she is tasked with making a website in 12 hours.
Oh my god.
And she's decided she's going to make a Tumblr. No. I've been 16 before. I learned how to HTML code to, like, make my Tumblr look cute.
It's not hard.
It's not hard!
Also, there are templates for free, so...
Right. First issue that I had with the website when she sent it to me is when you look at the sidebar, there is no separation between the word sections. So it was one giant paragraph mass of words, and that was the sidebar to navigate, which was so overwhelming.
Oh my god.
She reblogged unsighted images, which you can't do for a project.
Holy shit.
The formatting was different. Every section had a different font because she copied and pasted it without, like, standardizing it. They all had different font sizes, some had different font colors. She completely ruined my formatting that I had for, like, as I had block quotes that I had indented, like you're properly supposed to.
Yeah.
In text, like, she fucked it all, right?
God.
And I just, like, at that point, what am I gonna fucking do? Like, I can't...
It's too late, yeah.
I had shit to do. It was the same week that I was studying for 2 final, like, physics exams for classes I thought I was failing, because I hadn't understood the quarter system curve yet.
Right, yeah.
And I just went, fine. Okay? Show up there.
Okay.
And I Oh my god. Vicky has the audacity when I sit down in that lecture hall to say, hey, Olivia, come here. I want to ask you something. And I am putting all of my energy actively in not looking like a massive cunt because I'm so mad, right? And she goes, what do you think of the website? Now, audience, based on who I am as a person, do you think I lied? No. I said, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it. Now, at the same time that I responded to this, I realized that it was 10:15 in the morning, and she reeked of weed. Now, if you smoke weed, that's your fucking prerogative.
Yeah,
I have nothing against it. Everybody's got their thing. But if I smelled whiskey on someone at 10:15 in the morning, I would be just as equally concerned about the fact that you smell like weed at 10:15 in the morning, especially if I'm thinking that and thinking, oh, this person is responsible for our group project presentation.
And was most likely high while they were making it.
Yeah. So I say I'm just not happy with it. I think we could have done better if we had picked like wicks or something in advance. I think it would have come out a lot cleaner. And she goes, well, I think we have something the other groups doesn't have, and that's art because of the revolution. And I went, okay, I'm going to go sit back in my chair. And she said, do you want to go get lunch after this?
No,
Vicky. I said, I'm actually busy. I'm sorry. Presentation starts and I look up and he has all the tabs open like at the top, and ours is like the third to last. So I'm just sitting and I have to watch the people hand animated documentary style videos.
God.
They had HTML, like they were computer program. They looked so fucking professional.
Oh no, God.
And I am just waiting in dread for ours. And it gets to ours, and he looks at it, and he says some nice things, and I noticed something. I noticed that my essay isn't on the website anymore. Now, it was on the website last night when I checked, but my essay isn't there, and one of the dudes in my group, his essay wasn't there. And he texted me, and he said, hey, was that our project? Because it was so unrecognizable from what she said it was going to be. And, like, there were multiple people in our sequence that asked me, they're like, hey, did he present ours yet? Because they couldn't tell that it was ours. And so I text Jessica, and I go, hey, Jessica, I have a problem. Where is my essay? She goes, it was there last night. And I said, I'm aware it was there last night.
Yeah.
I know that. You know that. But it wasn't there. So I'm fuming, and I think to myself, there's a lot of avenues I can go to mitigate this.
Sure.
I can go to Vicky the moment that this is over and ask why. I can ignore it. I can email the TA, or I can talk to the TA in person. So I did a little bit of column A, a little bit of column D. Sure. And I texted Vicky and I said, hey, where's my essay? Because it's not on the website. She goes, yeah, it is. And I went, nope,
no,
it's not.
Fuck it isn't,
because
Vicky.
It's not there. And she goes, oh my God, that's so weird. It must have accidentally deleted. Now, I had a Tumblr.
I also
you don't just
have a Tumblr.
You don't just accidentally delete a section of your blog.
Yeah,
you could delete a post.
Mm-hmm, that's editing.
But not a section of your blog. And a lot of people think, do you think she did deliberately? No, honestly, I don't think she has the ability to understand because she clearly didn't know what she was doing. So I don't think she did it maliciously. I think she's just bad at what she does.
Oh my God.
So I immediately beeline to the TA, and I, in the most controlled voice that I can muster, say, my essay wasn't posted on the website, and I just want to let you know that when you grade it. And she looks at me confused, and she's like, what? And I'm like, it was on there last night. It was somehow deleted. My essay's not on there. If I submit you my essay, can you grade that? And she's like, yeah, why wasn't it? And then she turns, smells the just fucking face punch of marijuana from Vicky, because Vicky has run up, and she said, I'm so sorry, I was like accidentally deleted. I don't know how that happened. She's like doing damage control. The TA, I see in her face, fully registers what has occurred. And she looks at me in the eyes and goes, "Don't worry about it. Just post it and I'll grade it." Because she knows, because I've been CCing her on all of the fucking emails.
Yeah.
And she knows that I created the drive. And she's seen the receipts that I'm doing my goddamn most. Right? She's like, "Don't worry about it."
God, this is a nightmare.
And I got an A+ in the class, which is just so validating.
But at what cost, Olivia?
And at what cost? And so if you're wondering why I was so angry that episode, I was in the midst of dealing with this, and it's the worst fucking group project I've had in my entire goddamn life.
Jesus.
And to this day, if I ever go to a class and they said there's going to be a group project, I will consider dropping it because I can't do that again. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do that again. And I'm oh my God. Everybody in that class was a fucking,
We try to be accepting here at things that keep me up at night, but sometimes it just crosses the line. And this is one of those things.
I'm so sorry when you're editing this, because I screamed into the mic in an insulated room.
It's
beautiful.
Just,
you're gonna cut into it midway and be like, "Hey, from here on out, I did my goddamn best. It's gonna be a wild ride." And it's just like selective muffling because I'm screaming.
Yeah, for part of it, you're just gonna be underwater. That's...
Yeah, so
You survived.
And you know, my sister once said to me, she said, "I can't wait to get out of high school because there's so many stupid people in this class." And I went, "Don't worry, Zoe. I go to UCLA and I can tell you definitively that it gets worse." And my dad laughed and went, "I know, I work with them." And so that's...
It never gets better.
It never gets better. They seem to concentrate with much more power. It's like they get stronger.
Oh God.
Like they're fucking in the forest, like leveling up while you're just trying to do your best. They're grinding through levels. And then they're just like level 100 incompetence.
This isn't even my final form.
You're like, ah!
Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Well, that was cathartic.
Yeah, that's quite a mini-sode. We talked about a lot of things today.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, we talked about teeth.
We did.
And institutionalized
misogyny.
Yes.
Yeah, and group projects.
Yes.
And actors.
Yes.
Sorry, actors.
So this was all over the place, but I think everybody had a really great time.
Yeah, it was a party.
I had a really great time.
So did I. Small announcements before we go. We did get one more patron, which was beautiful. We got they are Jellykeet is the username. I don't have a name attached to it, but Jellykeet is now a patron. Welcome to the family, and we adore you. And your icon is very, very cute. I like it a lot. And then we also got fan mail
from Eden. They are so sweet.
Oh
Eden,
my God.
You truly made our morning. I woke up and screamed. Such a kind email and
so
gave us a
nice.
lot of suggestions.
No, yeah, these were really, really good suggestions. They have gone into our box of things, and we will be. I love this idea that they had to. You're right, actually, Eden. That there are a lot of things that we think about that it just doesn't fit into the categories that we have already.
Yes.
And we would have to invent a category. So it would be very cool for us to do what they called a world tour, where we go through and do events from continents and just talk about scary shit from different places. That sounds amazing. So that's going into our idea box. Thank you so much.
Yes, and our next episode after this one is going to be my episode, and it's going to be our first one for our new series on prisons. And if it makes you feel any better, it is not from the U.S.
It doesn't
and
make me feel better.
So bad?
Stop.
So... if you're thinking to yourself, man, they've seen a little US-centric, don't worry, I got you. We're coming for you.
Plenty of bad stuff abroad as well.
Yes, so this your episode. Thank you so much. We love you so much. We love interacting with you. We love tweets. fan mail, essentially anything that inflates our egos. After Brooke left acting, there's a void that she has to fill, and I'm never satisfied with compliments, so...
Something has to replace the lack of parental love I got.
Big mood. Well, anybody that's listening to this podcast can probably relate.
Sorry guys. And this will be our outro thing now. We have Twitter and Instagram, which we mentioned just now. We are at TTKMeUp. We also have a Facebook, but who cares? We have a website, ttkmeup.com. That'll give you links to our Patreon, and also to our merch store through TeePublic. We have t-shirts and mugs and baby outfits and notebooks and pillows and wall things. You know what I'm talking about. What are those called? Tapestries. Those are nice. Buy yourself a nice tapestry. We got tons of stuff for the whole family.
Also, we've posted a bit about it. If you have any original content for something scary, like spooky stories, we do a series called Campfire Horror Stories. Feel free to submit that to us at ttkmeup@gmail.com. We have a couple in the vault, but we're waiting for more to do, like a longer episode.
Yes, we are excited about that. Oh, also, I have forgotten routinely to mention this public announcement. We have on our Patreon 2 tiers. We have the tier where if you donate $5, you get a shout out on the show. And then if you donate, I think $25, it's a t-shirt, one of the lovely t-shirts from TeePublic. And then we also are doing a thing where if we ever, at any point, get up to $100 of donors, monthly donors, then we're going to do a Reddit AMA. So we can answer all of your fun questions, and it's going to be great. So... donate your shit, guys.
Yeah, give us money, please.
Yeah, I'm gay. I'd like a few dollars. Yeah. So
An AMA would be fun.
It would be. I am excited for the day when we're 80 years old and we finally get $100 of donors.
I would love that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's our show, guys. I love you.
I love you so much.
Bye.
Bye. It's been Real Deuces.
See ya.
In 5, 4, 3.
Hey everybody, this is Danielle.
And this is Daniel.
And I'm Carla, and we are Hoosier Homicide,
a true crime podcast by Hoosiers for Hoosiers, or for anyone that doesn't know what a Hoosier is.
Whoa. I don't know what a Hoosier is. Do you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
Great! We don't need to look anything up.
Go to Wikipedia and type in Alabama Hot Pocket.
No, don't do that.
And that'll tell you what a Hoosier is.
Just come listen to us. You'll find out.
Anyway, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is @Hoosier Homicide. You can also download any episode you prefer off of Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify.
We tell true crime stories with some random connection to our home state of Indiana. So come listen.
That's what she said.
For the love of God. And for honest to goodness,
stay out of the corn.
Pretty good.